Hello and welcome to Just Figures. Today we're going to be looking at the Bandai Figure-rise Perfect Cell model kit. Stay tuned. So here we have the Perfect Cell model kit. And looking at the packaging, you get a nice, cool artwork from uh, Toei Animation, as well as some pictures back here of what the figure of Cell looks like, as well as Teen Gohan. Um, on the side, we get some more pictures of the figure itself. On the back, there's nothing, but on the sides, we get a little biopic, as well as some scenes from the anime, and a couple of little panels showing how the figure works and what have you. So, with all of that out the way, and without further ado, let's get into it. So here is everything out of the box, and it's a lot of sprues. And so here we have the completed Cell figure. Now this guy kind of took a while, but that was mostly because I was being pretty meticulous with cutting all the little plastic nubs off all the pieces and what have you. But this guy was a blast to make. It's pretty fun and intuitive process, and the instructions were pretty clear and easy to follow. One real quick thing I want to say about this figure is that it looks amazing. It's one of the best model kits that I've ever built that just looked superb after putting all the pieces on. The way the plastic is done, it's done in a matte style. That way, it's not the super glossy plastic that you normally see with a lot of model kits. And I think this figure really pulls it off. Also, the really interesting double layering technique that they used for this figure to get these little spots on Cell is a beautiful rendition of it, and a very clever one. That way, you don't have to paint this figure, and you get all these nice details on him. They're not just flat, they're raised, and this is a really cool way to represent that. The figure is highly detailed for an unpainted figure, and one of the best looking model kits that I've ever made that comes straight out of the box with no paint really added onto them. So let's get down to articulation. This figure is a very well articulated figure, as with most model kits tend to be because they all come in pieces, so it's pretty easy to make joints. This figure has a ball joint at the base of the neck, as well as a ball joint at the top of the neck where the head pops in. In his range of motion, he could spin all the way around. He could look up that much, which isn't a whole lot, but that's because he's hindered by his head thing. And then he could look down that far, which is pretty far down. His shoulders have the nice, I don't know exactly what to call it, but it's a butterfly joint, I do believe. And where it swivels outwards, as well as has a ball joint in it. So you could get a lot of range of movement, which is really, really nice. There is also a hinge for his little shoulder piece, as well as a swivel at the top of the bicep, a double jointed elbow that can move almost, well, way past 90 degrees and about almost 110 10. He has a ball jointed wrist. He has, well, first off, he has a ab crunch, which has a ball joint at the top and a ball joint at the bottom, and he can bend down that far as well as swivel on it. His legs are they're in a weird hinge joint that you normally see with a lot of Gundams, where it's a peg that pegs into another peg that allows a pretty decent range of movement. His leg can go out that far, and it's hindered mostly because of his pieces of armor, and it could go up. Well, it could probably even go up even further than that, and go rotate all the way around. His knees have double joints, so you could get some nice posing. And finally, his ankles are on these ball joints that swivel up, but also can ankle pivot because of the peg that's placed into the foot at a a horizontal angle. And finally, this figure has some pegs for his wings, which can move a little bit, not amazingly, but there is still some movement. There's I think they're just simple pegs that peg in, but they also have a hinge where it connects to the wing, and thus it can lift up, so you could get a nice lift and you could get a nice swivel. The overall articulation for this figure is pretty impressive and pretty much matches SH Figuarts quality articulation, I'd have to say. There are some hindrances, however, due to his armor pieces that you would kind of have to worry about. One problem I do have with the articulation is the fact that his hands, which are ball joints, pop off really easily no matter where you're trying to position them. If they barely can move out this far, and if you push any more, they pop out super, super easily. I presume this is because the ball joints are too close to the base of the fist, and thus when it's in here, it doesn't really get a whole lot of movement. I do believe you could remedy this with a bigger ball joint or a longer stem, but overall the articulation's fine, besides those nitpicks. Moving on to accessories. This figure, unlike most SH Figuarts figures, at least in the Dragon Ball Z line, comes with a good bit of accessories. He comes with a second pair of open palm Kamehameha hands, as well as this little piece. It's kind of hard to see, but this little piece that plugs into the back of Cell for a figure stand. He comes with a extra open mouth face, as well as a Kamehameha effects charge ball. And finally, he comes with a Kamehameha blast, as well as a stand for the blast that's articulated. The way the faceplates are changed is you simply just pull and it detaches, and then you could place the faceplate and slide it right up in there, and then attach the head right back on. Pretty simple and pretty easy. And the Kamehameha charging piece fits in the hands, not by peg, but you can slide the little shiny or glimmers that are coming off of it through the fingers, and they tend to hold on there really, really well. All in all, this model set is a must-buy if you're a fan of the Dragon Ball Z series. It's definitely the best looking model I have made straight out of the box with no paint applications. And honestly, for the price, it's probably better than the SH Figuarts Cell that you can buy. He is a better representation, I feel like, of the Cell character than what SH Figuarts is actually producing. And considering he's only about half the price, I'd definitely say he's a must-have. I cannot say this with 100% fact, but from what I've been reading, he is in line with the SH Figuarts figure. If not, he might be a smidge bit taller, which actually works for Cell because he is a really tall guy, and he would go great with your SH Figuarts Gohan. There's not much more I can say about this figure other than it's great. I was overjoyed with how amazing he looked out of packaging. I know I stated that a lot of times, but I think it's just something you have to see in real life and understand, especially if you build model kits before. It looks so good. This has been Just Figures with the Figure-rise Cell model kit review. Stay tuned till next time, and goodbye.